President Trump emerged into the courtyard of the Elysee Palace, having already and intentionally stirred things up. He's here at the invitation of his French counterpart, who's hosting a weekend of reflection on the centenary of the end of World War I. But behind the pomp and the smiles was the fallout from a trademark Trump tweet sent about his host just as he'd arrived. President Macron of France has just suggested that Europe builds its own military in order to protect itself from the US, China and Russia. Very insulting. But perhaps Europe should first pay its fair share of NATO, which the US subsidises greatly. Still, Mr. Macron hadn't actually suggested that the US posed a military threat to Europe, just that it was no longer a partner Europe could rely on. Together, face to face, they were rather more diplomatic.
We're getting along from the standpoint of fairness, and I want it to be fair. We want to help Europe, but it has to be fair. Right now, the burden sharing has been largely on the United States, as the President will say, and he understands that. And he understands that the United States can only do so much in fairness to the United States.
That's why I do believe that we need more European capacities, more European defense, in order to take this part of the burden. When President Trump has to protect or to defend one of the states of the United States, he doesn't ask France or Germany or another government of Europe to finance it. That's why I do believe that we need more investment. It's exactly what we do in France. It's the first increase in terms of budget for defense for the coming years. We will reach the 2%. But that's why I do believe that we need more.
The body language was a little awkward, but the private lunch with the First Ladies lasted over 2 hours. We can only assume that they did discuss the disagreements over defence, trade and values in general.
Well, the meeting was, we're told, constructive. The tweet was part of a misunderstanding, and according to Mr. Trump, the two sides are closer than people might expect.
But European leaders are now working on the assumption that this Trump presidency is not a 4-year flash in the pan. The midterms suggest he may well win a second 4-year term. By afternoon, Mr. Macron had joined the German Chancellor outside Paris at the spot where signatures brought World War I to an end 100 years ago. Mrs. Merkel and Mr. Macron signed the visitors' book in a replica of a train carriage where the armistice was signed on November the 11th, 1918. A century on, they're reflecting on an enormous loss. At the tomb of the unknown soldier in the heart of the French capital, the final preparations are being made for the morning's ceremony. 81 heads of state and leaders of international institutions will be here. It will be a reflection on the past, but a contemplation too perhaps on the future at an uncertain time. Mark Stone, Sky News in Paris.